How is everybody doing? Welcome to Transgurus again. We are here again for you. We are very happy because we've got a hell of a lot of subscribers, 110,000. It is really incredible. And we'll receive very soon um, an award from YouTube, which we're going to share with you later on in latest chapters because it's not here yet. Okay, the theme for tonight or for today, it's called holding space. And by that, we mean being fully present with yourself or with someone else. So it is you or with a group. Okay? So, with those words, who wants to go first? Jean, would you like to go first?
Sure, sure. So it's good to see everyone here. We got a quorum tonight, and all I know is uh, I practice living in the present, and when I'm uh, in the presence of other people, I acknowledge other people and try to act in such a way to add value to our encounter. So that's kind of how I live my life. But this is what I wanted to talk about just briefly. There are. I'm going to change the subject here for a minute because you wanted me to go first. So here we go. There's multiple realities occurring at the same time, at the same place, on top of one another. There's the third dimension all the way to the 10th dimension. Most people live in the third dimension. And the third dimension is nuts and bolts, up and down, balance your checkbook, and uh, wars are fought with sticks and stones. And there's a need for all that. As a guru, we exist in a higher dimension. Let's say the fifth, where in my life I live in harmony with all things all the time. So there's no fight. I'm not fighting anything. And this is what I was thinking about the other day. Are the Buddhist monks in the Himalaya mountains, do they have a political action committee? Are they fighting something? I don't think so. Because in the world they live in, there is no fight. They live in harmony with all things to the degree that they levitate 6 feet off the ground. Now, if you're vibrating at a high dimension, a high frequency, there is no fight. It's a very efficient way to live. We're living the third dimension, we're burning a lot of calories. There's a lot going on. We're winging that sword around in our shield, and we're going to battle. And that's good for some people. That's good, but for myself, I live above all that. So I don't have a sword. I don't have a shield. I'm in harmony with all. I live in harmony with all things. So I just was thinking about that earlier, where all these fights are going on and arguments and all that. All that's occurring in the third dimension. Elevate yourself to a higher dimension, and you'll live a peaceful, harmonious life with all things. Ella.
Okay. I think you've got absolutely right too. Who wants to go next? Bobby, would you like to go next?
Oh, okay. It's funny when we first started talking about this, one of the things I remember was a conversation I had with my number two daughter, like when she was around 12 years old. And she was really struggling with trying to make a decision. It was an important decision to her. And she just she was going through all the pros and cons and everything. And and I kept trying to I kept seeing ways for her to just fix this and well done. And she said, "Will you stop trying to fix everything? I need you to listen." That was a really important lesson in parenting because not all your children are alike, and this children needed to vent all of her feelings in order for her to just get some clarity and believe that she was in the presence of someone who loved her and who would listen and listen without judgment, because to be honest, there was a direction I wanted her decision to go. And no, if I'm really going to hold space to her, I need to just listen to her. And since then, I've just really learned a lot about that. My dad taught me at a very, very young age how to treat people that came through the front door of my drugstore. And he said it was the secret to his success. Everybody that walks through that door just wants one thing from us. And I'm like 8 or 9 years old, and I can tell this is a really important, father-child moment. And he says, see that front door up there? Everybody that walks through that front door wants just one thing from us. And and yeah, everybody walks through that front door just wants a little personal attention. And I looked at him, and no, everybody walks through that front door just wants one thing from us, a little personal attention. And I said, that's it? And he said, yeah, that's it. And I was like, well, I can do that. and and so that was it. It was everybody that walked through the door. I would greet them. I would smile. I'd say, can I help you? What are you doing? How's it doing? And he was right, because time after time they start coming in, and and you begin to be a source of kindness in their life, and they're glad they come in. And as you get to know them, then it's sort of like they start talking about their problems. Well, I had an injury, a sports injury, and that's what I'm looking for, but I'm not going to be able to do my babysitting job, or I've got this or that. And you're just listening to the things that go on. And I learned early on that a whole lot everybody is struggling with something you just can't see and you will never know about. But if you're kind and you're present, and they sense that, it's like they just need somebody to hear what's going on inside of them. And I feel really honored to be able to do that, especially as a teacher and working with families and all of this stuff. I've just learned the importance of it, is that people just need someone to listen to them without passing judgment or trying to fix everything. And personally, that is something that I really, really needed when I lost my wife to cancer. Uh, I was devastated, and 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 there was just so much to feel and talk through, and 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 just emote, I guess. And I'm so grateful I had friends and people that could help me with that. And so when I think about holding space for somebody, that's exactly what it is. It's like I need somebody to be with me when I go to the hospital. Okay. And I don't need to knock them about, well, you should have quit smoking a long time ago, or you got to quit eating all of this junk food. No, no, they just need somebody to be with them, and without judgment. And so when I think about holding space, and I learn a whole lot of wisdom by keeping my mouth shut and just listening to what's going on with people. So when I think about holding space, I've learned that when it comes to loving your neighbor, that is one of the most meaningful things that you'll ever do, because they'll come back years later and they'll thank you for what you meant during a time that was really hard for them. And sometimes it's like you're the only one that listened. And that just means the world to so many people. So uh, that's why I think holding space is really important. If 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 you're trying to just grow in your energy levels and compassion and joy and peace and things like that, it comes by listening to a lot of people talk about the stuff they're really struggling with that you wouldn't know unless you made yourself available to them. So, back to you, Ella.
Thank you. I think we've got some things in common. We'll talk about it later. Raji, your turn.
Well, hello, 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 everyone. Good stuff so far. My gosh, one of the things I love about being on this panel, if you will, is that I love the listening part. like listening to what Jimmy has to say and Bobby and Ella. I of course bring what I have to say, but a lot of the enjoyment is getting, the three of your perspectives on a particular topic. So when I heard the topic, I thought, wow, holding space for yourself and others. So the first thing that came to mind is, have you ever been together with a bunch of people, but you feel lonely? Everyone else is like doing their whatever, they're in their phone or they're just not present. And that's what came to mind initially for me. I believe that holding space is a particular zone or consciousness that you have to be make an effort to be there, at least in the beginning. And as time goes on and you get better at it, it'll probably happen more organically. But also with self, because there are moments where I'm by myself and my mind is I'm thinking about the past, I'm thinking about the future. I'm not in the moment. There's been moments where I've been at, or times or events that I've been at a particular gathering, if you will, and I'll stop and I'll say, wait a minute, I'm not enjoying myself because I'm thinking about what I have to do tomorrow or what I'm going to make for dinner or or yesterday, what happened yesterday or 10 years ago or 20 years ago. And I'll stop and I'll bring myself back into the moment and be present. There's a power in that. And so, Bobby, you had touched on about being present for people. And I've had experiences where I've been speaking to a family member or a friend, and they're going through a particular thing. And, 9 out of 10 times, they don't really need me to say much. They want me to be there and listen to them, be their sounding board. I listen, I don't care what anyone tells me, there's no one that's self made. We all in our life journey along the way have needed somebody
Oh, yeah.
in many different capacities. And hence that we're all in this together. So yeah, the power of, the whole thing of holding space. I think if you can master it or at least begin doing it and then hopefully eventually get to mastering it, you'll enjoy the moments a lot more and you'll get a lot more out of them. Ella?
Yes. Okay, I've got something in my heart to tell about everybody. When I listened to this theme, I actually found it quite interesting because it was kind of created for me. Holding space, it's about yourself and about the others. Yes, it is. I'm just going now through a time probably which is a little bit hard and has something in common with my good friend Bobby because my son has cancer. And my son, if what I understood correctly, doesn't have much longer to live. So it is a very incredible situation. It's for me a new situation. It's a situation where I feel and I know I am completely hopeless and completely, it's not on I cannot do anything. There's only some things I can do, and that is I can do thoughts and prayers, and I can do a lot of support for my son because he needs it. And I'll be there for him to be near him and give him some courage. So this is one side, but um, there's an emotional presence in this all this thing because you know in advance that something is going to happen. And how should I say? I'm not trying to find comfort. I'm trying to find strength in all this. I am trying to find first my old strength. And I have to say, my son's strength is enormous. I have an incredible respect for him. In this moment, I've noticed that, and I have to say, he could be a guru here too. He knows that things are going to change for him and his family, and he's preparing for it. And he's preparing for it correctly and with strength. And even worse than that, he lives in Switzerland, but just on Monday, he had a 1 hour show on Swiss radio to tell what am I doing and preparing for when I go away. What do I want to leave my family? What am I preparing to give my son, my 7-year-old son, which will not be with me anymore? I found this, wow,
Yeah.
amazing. He's in a guru in his own self. It's not with anxiety, it's with full knowledge of what is coming and, controlling himself and his world and preparing and being, I mean, being like one of those people in the mountain which are really doing everything to be in the yen, in the beautiful yen. It is very heartbreaking to see this, but only if you take it from the negative side. You have to take it, and that is what I see in my emotional presence towards myself and towards him, to, support him and support myself as well, to see that, hey, I am learning from this. I'm gaining to another level from this as well. No, it's not, that is only a passing to another world. It's not negative. And but it is I think for all the family, mainly for his wife, of course, it's a hell of a state of mind to be strong at this time. So being fully present for yourself and for other people, I think in this case takes another dimension, because you do not have the control of any of the things. And I think Bobby knows very well what I'm talking about. But you have to go around and try to be and find yourself within yourself, because it's the only place. And with that strength, help the person which is having this incredible thing going on. So this is, for me, I see it as a very positive move. I see it as another step in life, something you cannot take it easy, but it is, I think this is something very, very important to, to not to control, but to find yourself in this. This word, I give as a word to everybody. I hope I was clear enough. So this is what I meant by holding space, because you need to hold the space sometimes more than other times, but you live your life, you live other people's lives as well. And it's not that you want help from others, but to give help to others, it takes your space too. So who wants to go next?
Yes, I'll try. Um, and, thank you for sharing. Um, you're exactly right. There's there are times where we just feel so helpless because there's nothing we can do. But I really, really liked what Raji talked about, being at an event where everybody's on their phone and they're looking down and all that stuff. And it's like, why did you even come? You're not here for me. It's like I'm a distraction. I'm a nuisance. You'd rather be someplace else, and they sense that. But on the other hand, it's like if you show up and you are fully engaged and you're there, it's like they love me a lot. And you get to reflect on who was there when you needed them the most. I'm not going to be able to do this because the 7-year-old is the one I'm thinking about, because they're not going to understand any of this. And they're going to have so much trouble making sense out of it, and even deciding who they are. Who am I without my dad? And you're going to have to do a whole lot of holding space, Ella. You really are. And it's not going to be for a Saturday afternoon.
No.
You know, it's going to be a long, long, long time of holding space for that young man.
Yeah, it's not going to be easy for him. It's not going to be easy for him, but I have to say something. I've discovered with all this thing that there are, in Switzerland, there are groups of people which are in the same position,
Mm-hmm.
and they are doing things to record and to pass to their kids the wisdom. They're
Mm.
so enriching. It's very, very enriching, very enriching. I did not know that, this is not, of course, not the only problem. It's many people like that, and that they get together to try to find ways to pass their wisdom to their kids and to pass some kind of presence when they are not here anymore.
Mm-hmm.
It is a beautiful thing.
Wow. Ella, I just want to say thank you so much for sharing. And
Mm-hmm.
when you were talking, what came to mind is death is not a period. It's
Transition.
a comma. Yeah. And I think for the living, it's not. We all know that it's a part of the process and that the person will continue on because we're all divine, vibrational energy, and energy never dies. But I think it's just not being able to see the person in physical form. And, the reality is you will miss them. You'll miss them. And there is a sadness that I think everyone has to work through at some point. But if there was ever a time for holding space, Ella, this is the time. And I know that you're going to do all sorts of things to support your son. But I'm going to tell you something. In my soul, I know the one thing that's going to mean the world to him is when you arrive in Switzerland next week and you're
Yeah.
just there. You're
Right.
present. You're, no action. Well, no action. What I mean is like, you're not running around, oh, this and that. No, your presence alone will
Mm,
mean the world to him.
I know.
And so that is a testament of holding space. What you just shared with our viewing audience and with us here on the panel, if there's ever a great example, that is an example of holding space for somebody in a time, a very crucial time, because the reality is we all will have that time, that day where we have to transition and leave. So my prayers are with you, Ella. And I know that a person doesn't truly know how it feels until they experience it,
Mm.
And so, I don't have any children, so I can't even imagine losing a child, how that would feel. Um, I have a niece and nephew, which I think would probably be close to it, but again, my prayers are with you, and I just want you to know, if you need anything, please don't hesitate to reach out to me.
Thank you. No, I just want to tell you something because like that you understand a little bit better. Where am I going next week? Well, on Monday he texted me and say, "Come next week." So the first thing I did was to go and get a flight to Switzerland. That was immediate. Jimmy was like,
This is pretty heavy.
Yeah.
Uh, my experience with death, um, we we mourn for the passing of the flesh.
Yeah.
yeah,
Um, the 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 spirit remains. The spirit remains, and how I kind of visualize this in my head to make it all make sense, at least to me, is that when someone passes, their spirit transcends into the ethers.
correct.
And so, in previous episodes, we talked about how our consciousness dances with everyone else's consciousnesses, past, present, and future. So our deceased loved ones' consciousnesses, their spirits, are still out there in the ethers, and our conscious can still dance with their consciousness and interact. And it's a vocabulary that is where no words are spoken. It's feelings, it's vibrations. And I know in my experience on this planet is like, where did that idea come from? How in the world did this? How in the world did I figure this out? And it could have been my consciousness commingling with someone else's consciousness that was in my life when I was alive, when they were alive. So, um,
Absolutely.
God bless us all. This is heavy stuff. But just keep in mind the spirit remains.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. But I mean, in this moment, it's what happens to my son. But in a way, and looking at some friends that we all know, actually, looking at myself as well, how am I going to react? How am I going to, and in that pace, I really need to have I'm in a learning position. I have to go inside myself to find strength.
Yeah.
And that is so important too. And you all know who I'm talking about anyway. So
Yeah.
so let's make a last round. And then I think we are just on the right time.
So, well, I'll finish.
Go
I'll
ahead.
do my last. Ella, one thing that I remember you telling me about your son is his connection, his deep connection to nature, the birds especially. And I think that it doesn't, well, I know it doesn't surprise me the way you say he's handling this. And I think a lot of it is due to his connection with nature, the birds, and the process of life. He is like profoundly connected to that. And so I remember that. And you even shared some beautiful pictures that your son had taken of birds all around the world. And, you know, another thing that comes to mind real quick is it's not really the quantity, it's the quality of someone's life. And all that he's done for his age, it is spectacular. Spectacular. It's just amazing the stuff that you shared with us. So that gives me some solace. But I just oh boy, I this it is a tough one. I know it's a tough one. But I believe you'll get through it. And I know that you're a strong person, but I want to say this. Everyone grieves differently. Everyone grieves differently. There is not one way to grieve, Ella. And emotions are real. They're natural. We human beings have emotions. Don't don't block yourself from feeling. You know what I mean? And organically letting things process. Ella, back to you.
Yeah, but I just want to add, that is true, but always keep your positive attitude, because that is so important. Because sometimes, there is that 2 seconds of stupidity.
You said 2 seconds of stupidity. Well, okay, so you can
Not
be
only
positive.
it's
You can
forever.
be positive, and you can still cry because they can be tears of joy. Yeah.
Absolutely. Jimmy?
Sure. So this is what I'm thinking about. A lot of human potential, a lot of human capability remains dormant until it's called upon. And everyone, like in situations involving maybe the passing of a loved one or your house. I had one of my friends, their house burnt down the other day,
Oof.
and how do you deal with that? So the resources and the ability to respond to your house burning down, all these potentials are dormant within us, and um, so events, good, bad, or indifferent, are the mechanisms that trigger the release of these abilities within us. So there's always a way, and we may not recognize our own ability until we're put in a position where that's the only way is to awaken our dormant abilities. Ella, God bless you.
Thank you.
Raji, I'm just so glad, Raji, that you mentioned about grieving. And there is no one right way to grieve. Everybody has their own way of doing that. And when you hold space for somebody, oh my gosh, one of the most offensive things you can do is like, well, you've been crying long enough. It's been 6 months. Or, oh God, or you just need to go take a vacation. And no,
Yeah.
if you're
Yeah.
holding space for somebody, everybody grieves differently. And that's what holding space is. And, you know, I didn't know any of you 2 or 3 years ago, and you're a gift. And I can't,
Thank you.
I love you all so much. And, and so now here I am with an opportunity to hold space for somebody I didn't even know a few years ago. And it's an honor and it's a privilege. And as awful as it is, I am privileged to be here right now.
Thank you. Anyway, with those words, I just want to add something that, my story is not unique. And many people have got similar stories. And please look at this as a way of finding the courage, finding positiveness, and going forward and have a beautiful life. And with those words, see you next week. Okay?
Love,
Bye,
peace, and
everybody.
blessings.
Bye.